Welcome to Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite.
Hey guys, Alicia here with Working Dog Radio, Torchlight Canine, and Oil Capital Canine Fund. I'd like to say thank you guys for listening to us for the past 6 years. That would not be possible without you and without our sponsors. We want to say thanks to Ray Allen Manufacturing. They've been a longtime partner of ours. They're friends of ours. We do equipment with them. We use their equipment every day. Ray Allen, the letter K, the number 9, on socials, Ray Allen Canine. Please check them out at rayallen.com. Everybody wants to feed their dog well, and if you're feeding them kinetic, you are. It takes the guesswork out of it. They've got some new supplements coming, some new flavors coming. We're going to have some previews for you. Please tune in for that. kineticdogfood.com, 513-615-6904. Check them out. American aluminum products save dogs' lives. All of our officers use their canine inserts. They also make some really nice rad crates and a lot of other things, including training aids. Check them out. American Aluminum Accessories on the socials. You can call them toll free, 800-277-0869, or email them for a quote at quotes@aaa-mail.com. Horizon Structures is a one-stop shop for your dog kennels. If you guys are serious about this and you're getting into it, you need space for dogs, give them a call. 888-447-4337. From mild to wild, let your imagination go. They can make it and drop it off at your door. Horizon Structures. And we would really like it if you guys would follow us on our new YouTube, Working Dog Radio YouTube. You're going to be able to see our pretty faces. You're going to be able to see our ads and our guests. We're going to have some really cool training videos. We're going to release podcasts earlier in that avenue. So please join us on our YouTube. We really appreciate you. Thank you for listening.
We are back, Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite. As always, we've had some episodes up from HITS, the Hold the Line conference.
Hold the Line.
Yeah, not from HITS, from Hold the Line in South Carolina. So those should be done. We have some pretty good ones coming up. But as always, I am Ted Summers from Tulsa, Oklahoma. With me, as always, from Canton, Ohio, is Eric Stambro. Eric, what's up?
Just, doing dogs. We're in the middle of a heat wave. I know you guys have that all the time in Tulsa, but it's 94 today. So it's, for us, that's hot.
Welcome to the club, dude.
Yeah. So we're just doing the pet dog stuff. I just feel like all I do is spend money, man. I just run around and can you get us this? Can you get us that? And I'm like, oh my gosh.
I call it death by $3,000 at a time.
Yeah.
that's like every time my employees want something, they're like, oh, it's $3,000. I'm like, God damn it, you guys. Like, can we?
Tomorrow we submit payroll, so you know how I feel about that.
You're going to jump off a building?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Me too.
Yeah. So it's, but it's been good. I'm done a little bit of some maintenance training at the facility. The fun house now is a little too hot. But I do have the first week of July, there's a Alliance Police Department. I provide a dog for Alliance. And I actually have a commission there. They their handler, he tore his pec muscle or bicep muscle or something, has been out for like 5 months. And so I'm doing a week, like kind of refresher for the dog and get him back up to speed and make sure, just that type of stuff that's coming up. Of course, my seminars, I did, been doing a lot of those. I did a whole bunch in a row, and then I took off most of June. I just went on a little trip for 4 or 5 days, and then it kicks back up. I'm going to Jacksonville, Florida in July. That'll be nice.
Nice.
Toasty. So what's going on?
To work?
Tulsa?
You're going to go there to work?
Yeah, for a conference. Yeah. My seminar, I mean.
With Jayville, with the sheriff?
The sheriff. Yep.
We had some guys from there at the last HRD. You should have a really good time with those dudes because they're super switched on. So like they're go fast and find stuff for sure. Tulsa is hot. I've spent the last couple of days doing maintenance on the air conditioning because apparently it's so humid that the air conditioners in the kennel want to condensate on their sensors and make them convinced that they're clogged. So, I've been doing the whole pump those things out with like a pond pump thing that I found at Lowe's, and had to pump out gallons of water from underneath the trays that sit under those air conditioner vents. One of them hanging from the ceiling. So that's been fun. I got a bunch of green dogs in, single and dual purpose. I got some that are. I feel like I say this every time I get these dogs in. Some of them are a little funky and have tried to kill me and the staff. I've got one that has bit one of my trainers twice, and he's super possessive. You grab his collar and he's like, nope, you're going to lose today. So it's been fun. I had 2 departments here today. Select dogs. I got one tomorrow here selecting dogs. I had a department from Arkansas and a department from Texas, and I got another department from Texas here tomorrow. Selecting for a dual purpose explosive. So that'll be fun. Classes in August, I think. So I got plenty of time. I'm going to wait for it to cool down a little bit. So I'm going to do all the green dog shit all the way through the summer away from the school. But other than that, I think I got an HRD between now and then in Minneapolis or just outside Minneapolis with USPCA. I'm going to go to the Limp Bizkit concert in Chicago. Nice. So a friend of mine runs the security for them that does all the bomb detection stuff. And I was like, so is there any chance that like we can get back to meet Fred? And I haven't heard back yet. So hopefully I do. We'll see.
We'll see what Westmoreland's dressed like if his face is all painted up and everything.
I don't know.
He's still doing it, man.
I know, and Fred too, like he comes out looking like a cowboy or like an 80s fucking surfboard guy. I don't know. That's pretty cool. So it's always something. So what are we doing tonight?
So when I was at the police department, we've talked about this all over the place several times, that I was in the canine unit from 2005 until I left in 2018. The canine unit there has been around since 1985. It's been a long time going. My entire time in the unit, and so the cars were built up when I got in there. We were using our kennels from American Aluminum. I'm assuming it's still that way at this point. So, when you get the car in the back there or the dog in the back with the kennel, and you don't really think about it. Like you're just a young new handler and everything. You're not really kind of thinking about, man, this is cool how that fits in there and the importance of it and what it does and how it can protect them, how it can help the dogs and everything like that. It's not just about keeping the dog from biting you in the back of the head and eating your front seat and tearing up your board. So the more we got into it and the longer I got there, I was like, man, we started hearing stories now because of social media and the readiness or the readable accessibility to information. We start seeing dogs that are in the back of these cars and in the kennels getting shot the shit out of them, man, with bullet holes coming through parts of it, and how it really did cocoon that dog in there and save a lot of those dogs. So with us tonight, and we got into on this podcast, as you guys know, we have commercial sponsors and commercial partnerships, and we got into a partnership with American Aluminum. It's been a couple years now, I think we've been going on with them, and we love it. It's been great. When you see them at like the big conferences and everything, their display is pretty freaking sick, man. It's pretty cool. The stuff, they got a car in there, and the guys are real cool. Like they can show you, hey, we can fit that car. I see most everybody seems to be on the Explorer tip right now, but there's Dodges and there's all kinds of stuff, and they are ready for it all. So with us tonight, we want to kind of deep dive into this stuff is I don't know if you're the president or CEO of American Aluminum, Jennifer Arnold. Jennifer, how are you?
I'm good. How are you all?
We're good, man. So where are you sitting at? Where are we at? What city?
We are in Perry, Florida. So when you talk about hot, I relate. When you talk about your employees, like at $3,000 at the time, I could probably triple that. So I'm feeling right. I'm feeling right at home. I think we're all good. I don't think our air conditioning was good enough today either. So yeah. So we're here in Perry, Florida, kind of North Florida area. It's where we've been. It's where I was born and raised. So I'm 45 seconds from home, sitting in my office tonight. So between work and home, it just is, it's not that far apart. And that's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. So let's, as we do, we like to talk a little bit of history. Talk about like how you've been there 35 years, 30 something years.
Yes, we're so happy to be celebrating 35 years this year.
Wow.
I'm honored that I'll be celebrating my 29th anniversary here
Nice.
in October. So that means I've really been here my whole life if you're going on looks. And it's the truth. My grandfather, who founded our company, brought me here as a young girl and literally told them to put me to work, and such I find myself today.
So in our industry, in people come in and eventually they might make it up to start their own training business or become a trainer or become whatever. And almost all of them start by cleaning kennels and picking up poop and things like that. What's your grandfather put you through? What did you have to do when you first started?
Oh my goodness. I do tell the story that the first day he brought me here to all the seasoned people. And being special, I'm the oldest first granddaughter. And he walks them in and tells them to put me to work. And I think I was quite a bit underestimated, probably thought of as a princess. Um, I definitely had the option to never come back. And I just kept showing up every day. And I eventually, I didn't have a place, wasn't given one. And one day I borrowed the phone from my grandfather's office and sat outside the office of the gentleman that he had running the place. And I began to answer the phone. And as I answered the phone, I heard what answer he gave the customer or details they discussed. And once I heard him say the same thing 2 or 3 times, today he's never answered that question again himself. So,
That's good.
yeah, I just, and it was only because I was raised to do what you're supposed to do. My grandfather, there's nothing I won't do today, nothing that's not my responsibility. And just being open minded that if it had to do with this company, it was mine to see about, kind of got me through some things. I think I stole information all the way to the top just because I put myself in the middle if I was needed.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, you say that it made me think of. So at my pet site company, I have two managers. One who manages the training, right, and the trainers, and the other one who manages like the kennel and the sales. And when we hired her, she didn't know anything about dog training. She has dogs, was a dog lover. She didn't know anything about dog training, but she knew how to sell. And she listened and sat and listened to Amanda, my head trainer manager, listened to her talk to clients, talk on the phone because she was doing sales and was teaching her that stuff, and then listened to me doing evaluations and doing things, and listened how we talk and what we say, which is pretty repetitive. Like, the problems with dogs are caused by the same things for the most part. And so now I listen to her talk, man, and I feel it's great. I feel proud. I'm proud of her because like she's answering some pretty great dog questions and can talk to people. And I don't need to do it all the time. We had a lady drop in the other day with her dog, and I'm inclined usually to go out and kind of interrupt and get involved in it. And I just sat back. Right?
Me too.
She usually asks, but I just sat back and watched, and her answers were all great and they were all just right. So my point being, you can get into an industry from the bottom and not really know anything about it. But if you can listen and learn and pay attention pretty quickly, you're like there's like 5 normal things. Like they say the same kind of thing over and over and over again. And then if you can make some stuff up on the fly here and there, and kind of adjust, it's pretty good. So he probably liked that. Because was your grandfather doing a lot, like still kind of trying to do everything?
Yes and no. He loved to create things, get them started, find the right people to take them and just, take it to the next level. he had a lot of input with us, in the early years. Honestly, I had him just until last July. So
Oh, okay.
yes, he was
Yeah.
91 and we discussed work. His mind was great. His body had just
Yeah.
aged. So, he was there to talk to and give his guidance. He set us up well, and he had some great years at home where he didn't have to worry about us and he could just be proud. But, everything we do today, he set in motion. I haven't had to create necessarily a product. I have not had to say this is, how we're going to do this, because everything we build, the first time he touched it, before he ever put it into play, he determined how it needed to be. All of the safety features of anything that we made, the details. He just had a mind that could dot the I's and cross the T's as he created it. And
That's
that's
amazing.
just that's been the easy part for me. Business is business, working people, all of those things. That is the challenges, the product that I make and what we end up being at the end of the day and what we end up doing. He set that all in motion for us.
That's awesome. So, like, I always tell everybody, I'm a Neanderthal, right? I was a knuckle dragging street cop, and this business stuff can be. I know how to talk to people, I guess. Although my manager will say you're not allowed to talk to those people.
Yeah,
But
me too.
Ted is pretty feral. Ted is there's a fine line between animal and Ted. And so his ability to deal, or not ability, but desire to be on the business side of it is still pretty low. So he's lucky he's got the right people in that aspect of it. I think you've been told you're no longer to talk to people.
I have been told by my manager and Alicia that I am not allowed to talk to pet clients because I talk to them like cops.
Yeah.
And I told a woman that her dog would eat her if she died because she insisted the dog loved her. And like, I just have a very, I don't know. And, like Jennifer, while you were saying this, I'm like, you're like, oh, the product stuff just kind of comes. It's no big deal. Whatever else you like, the business side. And I say that all the time, right? Like, so this is for the canine side and for the pet side a little bit too, but for the canine side, there's a ton of great trainers in this industry that don't sell dogs because they don't know how to do it. And then there's a ton of guys that sell a shit ton of dogs that are fucking worthless, that can't train a dog to shit outside, that to sell a ton of dogs that are absolutely abhorred at training dogs and trainers, but because they understand how to sell something, they're doing really well. And so on the police side, like, I'm usually really involved, and it's really important because Alicia takes those calls beforehand, and Alicia can speak. I joke, I say she speaks admin, right? She says, I know how invoicing works, but we can talk all about that because I'm sure with the many police departments you deal with and federal agencies having to deal with, like, oh, this is our policy. We need a W-9, a W-447, a W. They're like, we need all these forms, and you're like, dude,
yeah.
Sometimes they're like, I've never even heard of that one, but I'll figure it out. So Alicia's really good at be like, I'll send you a W9, I'll send you this, I'll send you that, I'll send you that with the invoice. They're like, oh, that's great, right? Because they're going to ask for it. When it comes to the other, like the nuts and bolts stuff, I usually take over. But the sales portion is a super important part. And in terms of like dealing with competition and dealing with like local or national or whatever it is an important part, right? Like, I can't tell you the number of times, and this is on an American Aluminum side and on my side. On my side, I've had people come to me and they're like, we came just because you answered the phone.
Yeah.
Like, Eric, you've heard that, right?
Yes. We pick up, I will never, as long as I am here, you will not get an automated system.
Right. And I've heard, I have a department here locally that is a small department. They have 10 officers. And they have one of my dogs, and they have an American Aluminum insert. And he's like, we bought it from them because you told us to, and they answered the phone. I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. And they're like, when they answer the phone, whoever you have answered, I don't know who it is, but whoever you answered the phone was like, we need this, this, and this, and this from you. And you're going to need this, 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 and this. And he was like, it was perfect. I took it to my upfitters, and they said, okay, perfect. And I gave them the paperwork we needed, and it was a done deal. And he was like, but they answered the phone.
Yeah. So was your grandfather like a metallurgist, like a metal guy that
No,
worked in
not
metal?
at all. Ultimately, his heart was a farmer. He raised cattle. He and his granddad or his dad logged the Everglades in Florida, years back. His thing was land and farming and cattle, but he was great at a lot of things. He built a lot of different small businesses. But the reason he opened American Aluminum is because my grandfather used things. He was a worker. He was a producer. He knew what it took to have a good product, or he needed a good product, and he literally just on a whim bought this place and got it going so he could build the things he needed for himself so that they would last and be sturdy. And then every little thing that we began to build that started us out in the young days, it was more like custom stuff, gates and random things for the farm, all of those things. They still are with us today. If he built something and put a gate on that farm, we're still opening and closing it. If he built a box for something for a hay trailer, we're still using it. And that's really why he started American Aluminum and got several years in like that. And he knew there were other people like him. He's like, there's got to be people who want, good quality stuff, that they can get built the way they want it. He said the stores got it like this, but didn't they know when you open the gate that the gate swings this way and it doesn't allow the gate to open all the way up? So they needed to build it to fit on the other side of the gate. He could just see something all the way through in a working manner to be able to, get his product on the right path to start with. So that's really how we started. I have a great story about kind of how canine, and I'll try to make it quick, but we all remember when DARE was a big thing and it became popular and we're going to do the war on drugs. Like I was here when canine didn't exist, and I just really that doesn't dawn on me a lot anymore. Before it was a big thing, but the story goes is that a local agency had a main highway going through it. They had a very aggressive sheriff. He really bought into the police canine work dog and what they could do for the war on drugs and the trouble he was having. And he sent an officer to school, bought a dog, invested, got all in, bought a brand new Crown Vic for about $8,000. Okay.
They're still selling for that, by the way.
Yeah. The 1992 version that mine would fit from then until it was done with. But so they bought this brand new car. He was all about it. He kind of kept it top secret. He goes to have this big press release. And he's going to tell his community what he's doing, introduce this dog, what's about to happen. He's all about it. So they get the car, they get the dog, they get the officer. They're all gathered around for their big, debut. And no one ever thought about what was going to happen when a crowd gathered around the car and the dog was inside.
He ate the seat.
Literally, he calls my grandfather.
That's what he did.
And he's like, Robert, you got to help me. I bought this Crown Vic and I spent $8,000 on this brand new car. And he said, and I was trying to make this introduction to my community. And he said, we go out there to gather around. And he said, the car's rocking back and forth. And he said, something bad's going on. And he said, we opened the door and poof. He said, this dog ate the inside of my brand new car. He said, I have to have something to put this dog in. I didn't know he was going to get upset whenever, the people gathered around are anxious about being in the car. And such is the story of why we have a canine unit today. And
some problems are timeless.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. That is my goal. Like the goal now is the things that I do have to do on the product is when there's a new vehicle or a new design is to make sure. You want to know how many times I've been sitting in a canine cage looking out, and for 15 minutes I have to be a Malinois. And for about 30 minutes I have to be a German Shepherd, because a German Shepherd is going to sit there nice and calm and they're going to watch what you do every day. And if there's something you do that he can do, then he's going to figure it out. And the Malinois, it doesn't matter. He's going everywhere in every corner as fast as he can, as quick as he can. If he can get one inkling, his teeth on one inkling of something in that car, so that's what we do. I mean, we build the cage exactly like he set us up as far as, structurally and those things. But our biggest job is making sure that we sit in that car and we know that, we're looking at those little tiny details that the dog's going to be looking at when he's in there.
So what year was that?
I have always tried to think. I want to think we were, I want to say early 90s.
So, the story of American Aluminum is very much kind of like the story of canine in the United States, because in the late 80s and early 90s, because we've had canine, I mean, my hometown TPD, like we've had dogs for like since the early 70s, like a long time, right? Maybe in the late 60s. I go to their clubhouse and there's like black and white photos of dogs up and shit. And so, very much, everyone has seen the black and white photos of like New York State Police, and they've got like the old car and the dogs just hanging out in the back and whatever else. So I kind of feel like this story is very much the story of like modern canine anyway, because so much shit has changed since the late 80s, early 90s that it is to now. And in terms of equipment, so like, you're right. No one would have ever have known like, oh, I've got to have a special cage. It's 2024. Right. And I had a conversation with an administrator last week, small department, right? Like they don't understand a whole lot. Like, they've only got, like 10 dudes or whatever. They're like, you have to have an actual cage for this dog. Like it's an insert. And I'm like, yeah. Like, and it's a whole thing. And you got to take it to an upfitter and you got to have a heat alarm. You have all this shit. And they're like, what? And I said, yeah, it's a whole thing. Right. So it's very much the story of canine, because in the late 80s, right, like we didn't have heat alarms, we didn't have door poppers, we didn't have, right, there's case law on door poppers, by the way, and obviously it didn't exist, but it's very much a product of like, oh, we didn't know we were going to need this until,
kind of like us, we used to ride in the back hatch of the car. You remember the deck?
Right.
We used to ride up there, and no one thought anything of it. We stood up in the back seat. We didn't have there wasn't a car seat. It's that, when you explain how you are today, that world we lived in versus where we are today, and how, so much has changed, and, it's just adapting and making sure, we have what we need. We do it for our kids, our home, our car, everything.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, we're going to go ahead and take our first break. When we come back, we're going to get into inserts and all kinds of stuff like that. I got some interesting questions that have popped into my head about what they got going on down there and what they're doing, and little things that you probably don't even think about. So we'll go ahead and take our first break. Check the show notes for discount codes, guys. There's stuff in there. Don't skip it over. Make sure you're checking everything out. But again, in the show notes and even on social media show notes, everything's in there. So stand by.
Hey guys, Alicia with Working Dog Radio here again. I wanted to take a moment to talk about one of our newest sponsors, someone that we are super, super happy with and glad to have aboard, somebody that we have known since they literally got into the game. Aiden and Jesse from Rex Specs literally made a product so that they could enjoy life with their dog. Their dog suffered from pannus and they wanted to take their dog skiing, and they went out and they made goggles that fit their dog, and now they make products for your dog, my dog, and everybody's dog. And we've watched them grow, and we are so proud of them and proud to know them. All their products are American made. They are supporting us who support them. These goggles are UV protectant. They protect your dog's eyes from dust, from particles, from anything that could get in the way if you take your dog to the range. One of the products that Ted and I use most often is their Ear Pro. They have Canine Ear Pro. It pulls over your dog's head and it protects their ears. So if you go to the range, you're doing gunfire acclimation, whatever you're doing, those things work great. They have leashes. They have all kinds of cool stuff. You really need to check them out. And we are very glad to have them aboard and very proud of their products. We do have some. We will give some away. Keep watching for us. If you check them out on the socials, it's at Rex Specs, SPECS, the letter K, the number 9, and also recspecs.com. If you use the discount code Working Dog Radio, all one word and all lowercase, you'll get 20% off your first order.
All right, everybody, we are back. Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite. I am Eric Sambro from Ohio. With me, as always, is Ted Summers from Oklahoma. And our guest today from American Aluminum is Jennifer Arnold. Third generation now there, or did that skip one?
I'm third.
Their daddy was there?
Well, yeah, it's my mom and uncle, yes. They're actually, they're the current owners. I just happen to be their leaders, so.
Yeah, got it. So I do have one request for you guys from American Aluminum is put a sign on the center divider that says only for emergencies.
Thank you.
I am on a crusade. I am on a crusade for these guys to stop opening that center divider.
Emergencies.
Right. Stop.
Right.
It is not for pup cups. It is not for TikTok. And it is not for you to sit there and touch your dog like some psycho weirdo the whole shift. You guys are causing anxiety and mental problems in your dogs by touching them, you nut job.
I was going to ask that.
I'm going to leave it at that. That's it.
I was going to say something, but Eric decided to.
Back at my old agency, we made everybody zip tie them closed. Just to stop opening that and petting, because what happens is they don't close them. And like you're talking about with the German Shepherd, they're listening. They hear shh, click, shh, click, shh, click, shh, no click. They know that thing isn't shut. And then when you get out to go to headquarters or whatever, they nose that thing open, and then they're eating your front airbag in your car or tearing up your MDT, which are two very specific things that I mentioned because it happened at my old department.
I was like, that was super specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the one
he's got a story.
Yeah. Not my dogs. One guy twice. So, anyways, one of the things that I was just thinking about that you don't really think about is these car manufacturers keep messing around with their designs and they keep changing things. Do you guys work with them, or are you just like, now what, when they come out with something?
Yeah, it's a now what situation. It's a surprise factor. We have great people down the line from maybe like the original designers who are great with us. They make sure we're seeing things up front, knowing in advance, putting a battery in an odd spot, things like that. We don't have the connectivity to them to, give some feedback on the front end, but all of us that are touching those cars and working with it, whether it's my product, a different prisoner insert in the same place as a canine cage, I mean, we're just pretty resilient there. It's kind of how we've all created our product. So what they come out with, we just know we're going to work around it.
I always remember the big change that we had to, and probably most people with American Aluminum, was when car companies started putting those side curtain airbags in, which wasn't a thing. We had old inserts. We were buying inserts in a lot of places from other departments, right?
Yep.
I remember
jamming those things in there like with a shoehorn.
Yeah.
And then we had a dog eat a side curtain airbag. We're like, well, we don't have the right insert.
I had one set one off.
Oh, really?
While they were driving with the sirens on. Set the fucking side airbag off in the insert.
Those are like 7,000. Just so, and if you guys are wondering,
well,
they didn't replace it.
We thought about the cost of that. Honestly, that's something that we ran into when side curtain airbags became a thing. We knew right away that we needed that. I mean, we believed in it. I mean, we saw what were happening to people in vehicles.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Collisions, and we just knew our number one job was to make sure that we built a cage that would allow those airbags to deploy. So honestly, our way that we do that is when we design a unit, and we, put our expertise to work and what we know about the vehicle and how we design, we build our design for that vehicle, and then we actually have to ship that vehicle off out to California. We have a company out there, and they actually airbag test that canine system, in that vehicle, and they essentially blow the airbags. So I when I buy a demo vehicle and I decide that this design needs that test, that's what I have to do. And so we pay to put it back together, and it's a pretty expensive process.
Oh yeah.
So
We
this
always
leads into
got
my
it on
next.
the first try, so I didn't have to pay for it twice. So
Nice.
This leads into my next question, which is like the question that I get. Like, I have a friend, a really good friend of mine. He's not in law enforcement, but he's in dogs, and he has several Malinois and whatever. He drives a Toyota Tundra and a Toyota Tacoma. He's like, "Yo, ask her why they won't make one." I was like, "Well, I know the answer. I mean, I'll ask her, but it's because no police departments use those. Like, they're not going to sell that many of them.
well,
So, and it's expensive. And now you're talking about buying a car and knocking the airbags out, which honestly sounds like a ton of fun."
yeah.
But I can't imagine what that costs, and I'm like, what the return on that is to make one for like a Tacoma or a Tundra or a 4Runner or whatever.
I think all of our favorite one is probably, we did a BMW one time, real sporty
Nice.
car,
Oh, nice.
private security. But it's about, we tell everybody, if you want us to build it, we know what the price is. We know we're building a one-off. We have the capability to do that. It's a fun challenge sometimes. We've done a few. We've done some super, unique vehicles, but it's just making sure we have the vehicle. Like, that's our avenue of, making any product we make, is getting a vehicle physically in hand. So they literally brought us this vehicle and had the time to leave it with us so that we could upfit it for them. So tell him, bring me that Tundra and I'll take care of it.
There you go.
There you go. If he can be away from the Tundra for a little bit of time, it'll be all right.
Send him your Tundra,
on the
bro.
front end, you have to get me before you move into the new vehicle. Like, you got to bring that to us and stay separated from it a little bit and be patient and let us do that for you.
That's funny. Yeah, BMW, man. That would be an interesting build out.
I sort of want to know who it was and why they had a canine thing in a BMW. Honestly, but
I mean, if I was going to be private security and drive up, I want to it's about representing, and it's who they represented and who they were protecting, and it was probably like in the required specs. If you're going to represent me and pull up, and park by me somewhere, this is how you have to do. Do you remember what it was? Oh, here we go. Let me say, it was a psychologist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
You just don't ever know what, dogs can, do great things.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't know the story, but I do remember the car and the, can you believe they want us to do this? And we ask them a million times, and you know what? I'm turned into that girl. American Loom has taught me that if you need something, made for you or fit for you, call them and ask them,
Yeah. Well, that's always a question. Like, I've gotten that question before from clients that are not law enforcement that are, whatever.
Some other reason.
And they're like, could we get a custom insert made? I'm like, I'm with enough time, money, and determination, anything is possible. I'm sure you can. So now I have the answer. Just send them the car and they'll do it.
Yeah, they said you weren't good at business. I don't.
Yeah, see, look.
That's a businessman right there.
He's good at business. He's just not good at talking to those folks.
I have an MBA. Like,
I know.
I have an MBA. Like, I'm good at business. I just don't like talking to people. So it's just odd because I have a fucking podcast, but whatever.
Yeah. Who was the first to come to you and go, hey, we need to be able to stick a human in the back with that dog?
Oh,
like
yeah.
The transport.
The split. Yeah, the transport. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go off. I might not be 100% correct, but I'm going to believe Department of Corrections. They had a wide variety of vans. Those are the ones I remember, in the beginning days. A lot of that was passenger vans. So it started kind of simple, the screen systems with the partitions. And then we met more into the larger prisons that trade inmates, and they have longer transports, and they needed, they went to more of like the cargo design. So that developed the modular unit that we have. We need to separate inmates. Separating them in a passenger van was, hard to do and cumbersome moving them around. So, moving into that modular setup where you could transport, males and females, juveniles, that sort of thing, all at the same time was about efficiency and safety for, those that they were transporting. So it just evolved, kind of like you said, the old school way versus just making something that's more efficient and work with what they needed to do.
And then somebody said, we need to do it where the dog is in half of the car, or 2/3 of the car,
Yeah.
and the guy and some dude is in the other side. Where did that come from? Just natural evolution?
It was, and again, I think it's maybe it's departments, budgets, maybe it was not being able to secure somebody at a scene, maybe too. Somebody's out somewhere, and you just need to really get them contained. It's a long time for someone to get to them. They always had to have a second car.
The second car thing.
Yeah. It was a little cumbersome, but fortunately it made sense. They made the vehicles have a 1/3, 2/3. That's what we ended up calling our product. You leave the 1/3 seat in place. We built out the other side for the canine. I mean, people, they different opinions on it. It's become necessary. Some people leave it blocked out between the two. Some of them smile and let them look at each other,
Yeah.
So,
I have some stories about that, about them leaving them open. I got some in-car cameras from that where they leave it open. And recently, within the last couple of months, one of my handlers who has an American aluminum insert, but had a very large man, and that was arrested on suspicion of drug trafficking. They happened to find, I don't know, several hundred pounds of whatever in his car, or in what he was driving, and they put him, and he's a big old dude, and they stuck him in the side of this thing, and he bitched the entire time about how small it was. And my handler, and the entire time he would talk shit there, he would jibber jabber at the dog, and the dog, it's a dual purpose dog, would jibber jabber back. So it was a 40-minute ride to jail, and the dog and this dude yelled at each other the entire time. And my handler was like, I almost put my headphones in just to keep, because I didn't want to listen to it. But he's like, I don't think I'm going to block it off. And I will tell you, the same handler had a guy get into the car. He's one of those dudes that when they interview somebody, they put him in the front seat of their car. They don't do it outside. Because they have cameras and whatever. So he's interviewing this guy. And he gets out of the car after some questioning and says, and you see him before my handler, I'm not going to say his name, before my handler gets out of the car, he reaches up and make sure that the gate is shut. He gets out, and the kid's not under arrest yet. And he has a phone, and he takes a phone call from somebody, and is like, he's looking back, and you can see him looking back, and he's like, man, I don't know. And obviously the person that he's talking to is telling him to run. He's like, look, dude, just run. They're not going to catch you. He's like, man, there's a dog in this car. And he keeps looking back, and he keeps looking back, and he keeps looking back. And he's like, it's a big one. It's a big one, and it's brown. And I don't know if he bites or not, is what he said. And because they had used the dog, and he's like, well, and he said, can you, and I think what the comment from the person on the phone was, can you see a controller in the middle of it that looks like it controls the system that controls the door popper? So the guy confirmed it later, and he was trying to run, but the person that was talking to him on the phone was trying to tell him how to disable the popper, so that when he ran, he thought the handler was going to hit the popper, but he chose not to run, and that's the wrong dog to run from anyway. Or one of the wrong team in general. But he was a very large individual too, and he bitched the entire time about the size of the. So I was going to say is that the Yelp reviews of the third are not very good. People want more room, but
we do.
I thought I would pass that along.
Yeah, that's from the bad guys review, not anybody else.
The dogs are super happy. It's fine.
Yeah,
they're fine. I don't care.
We're good at what we do, but
exactly
it's the laws of nature. There's only so much space. It's that, it's how the vehicle's designed. We can give him a little like sidecar out there to ride in. It just doesn't work.
I do have a question on the splits, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have specific requirements from people when those started happening for a driver's side door pop, or basically like a passenger side transport, I guess, for passengers, or so the 2/3 split.
So dog could exit driver's side.
Right.
You're saying. Yes, and that's typically it. The vehicle setup is really what dictates it. It's how that 1/3, 2/3 is set up. And in some instances, we've been able to offer them both, like a choice.
Right.
Which do you want? Some instances we've been absolutely locked down because of, this is the vehicle you chose. This is the only way we can work around the interior of it to get the dog a big enough portion. And the thing is that, we also have to make sure that inmate is using that seatbelt. I mean, there's that guy, like that's our job too. Our job is not,
right. No,
not create you all a liability, because that's the next thing is what is the argument? Like the 1/3, 2/3, we were a little, taken back on that one when it first came out. Like, how's this going to go? So we had a big job to do to absolutely ensure that, the least amount of contact or feelings, let's just say, that somebody could have, because this department needed to be able to transport their police work dog and also someone, who they had to arrest or bring in. So, that was a big job. And like I say, 99% of the time, the vehicle's going to dictate in that setup what we have to do, just so that everybody's safe. And then, if your dog's exiting into traffic, but this is the setup for the car, everybody's adapted well to just handle their dog differently,
Well, and that's always a question, because during handler schools, we do a lot of door popper drills on the second and third weeks or whatever, it doesn't matter. But the dogs that exit in on the driver's side, there's a couple of extra steps that take to teach the dog to run around the back of the car instead of in the traffic, whatever else. So, and when departments ask me, and I didn't know this until I talked to you, I'm like, if you can, ask for a passenger side door pop and for a prisoner transport on the other side. I'd always heard that it was some trooper in some random state that said they wanted the 1/3 on the other side so we could see him. And I was like, but he's in handcuffs. Like, what? My initial response was, he's in handcuffs. What difference does it make?
He's in better than handcuffs. I mean, he's kind of like double,
right. I mean,
double caught. Like he's not coming through that cage. I mean,
no, I agree, and that was my response. I'm like, he's in a canine cage in handcuffs. Like, what do you need to see him for?
I get that. Thank goodness for cameras these days. Like our inmates, before it kind of evolved into that. Like now they monitor all the compartments while they're driving. They could do this thing. If this guy had this trouble today, he can just see what's going on in that. I like the idea of being able to kind of see what's going on in there, like especially the inmate transport. That way, if there's some nonsense, you can see what you're going into. Has anybody got out of their handcuffs or shackles? Is there a ruckus back there? Somebody in distress? Like, the cameras are really, ended up serving us well, and probably a comfort in ways that I don't realize too.
One of the new trends going on, and I say new, probably the last few years, I think it's probably bigger on the East Coast than the West Coast, is canine units with 2 dogs.
Oh, yeah.
So, for example, down in Raleigh, they do that. They'll have a bomb detection dog, a dual purpose canine. Are you seeing like more and more requests for that?
Yes, absolutely. And what we ended up having to do is get maybe, because that became more of a demand, my team, they did a great job on building us dividers. So one of those dogs is usually, maybe, needed more, worked more, pulled out more, quick to get to. So they did a really, really good job when this started to become a thing, separating the type of dog they use, adding dogs, whatever the reason, and making sure that we have a divider that will allow. The thing is when you split that cage in half, that's great. You can put a divider in there all day long. We just had to really make sure that no matter what happened with that vehicle, one, you could access the dog in the opposite side in the event of an accident. So I have to think, if the crash happens over here, if the crash happens this way, we had to do the maze. Like we had to sit down and they had to think through that and make sure that when we talk to the customer, when they're asking for a divider, we have to really be like, hey, can you spend some time with us? We need to know how you use this car, and make sure that they're going to naturally walk the same maze. And so if we have an accident or somebody's jammed up on one side, we always have a means to get those dogs out. Ultimately, it's removable. So, that's the last win in the end. But really, we want it to be quick and fast. If something goes down or the officer gets in distress, accident, anything, we just want them to be able to get to the dog quick. And so when the divider, you think it brings an issue, they did a good job to work that out for the officer.
So as it is now, if somebody's listening to this and like, my department wants to go to two dogs, but they're hesitant because they're going to have to get a whole new insert, you're saying it can be retrofitted?
Absolutely, yes. You can
Nice,
you can request that as an add-on.
That's an easy sell then to admins.
That's like the easiest.
Yeah.
Like
and sometimes people that aren't even using dual dogs, we have a new product that's kind of taking care of this. But some people back in the day, just because some of the vehicles are nice and big these days, some dogs do better with less space. I don't know if that's
shrink their world.
That's an error.
The better. Yeah. There's never room in canine vehicles, so we just have the divider can, maybe there's a dog, but sometimes they would use them just to allow themselves extra storage and keep that dog a little, not so spread out in the vehicle. Now, if you know that's what you want and you're not transporting another dog, then you can use part of your canine unit as a storage system, and it's great. You choose the side you want it on, and then we have like shelving, drawers, cubbies. It's a pretty cool product. Maybe we could get you some pictures, or maybe it was in one of those guys posted recently, but that's just another, a little spin off of maybe I don't need two dogs, but maybe my dog needs a little less space and I could use more storage. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, because the 1/3, 2/3 thing, a lot of my handlers, the 1/3 is not for passenger transport, is for canine stuff.
Rifle.
Bite suit. I've seen all kinds of stuff in those. And they're like, if I have to, I'll move it.
Well, I could just imagine a little pile on the side of the road for minutes while this guy goes to the hill, and then they come back and collect all.
Yeah. Well, you guys make more stuff, though, than the inserts. Like, you make the cam lock thing, you make the vault system, you make all that stuff, right? And, like, I've got several units. I've got several canine guys, several of my handlers here in the region that have got American aluminum insert plus like all the drawers and stuff. Because the thing, all canine handlers listening to this know, and administrators, if you're listening, it's more than just a dog. You got all kinds of other shit that goes with it, with the dog. So a lot of times they have extra equipment, they got bite suits, they have all the other cop stuff too that they have to deal with. And so they fill up a Suburban or a Explorer like quick, like super quick. In fact, a lot of my guys like the 1/3, 2/3 because the 1/3 they use for like hiding a bite suit or like something that's needed. And they're like, if I need to, I can just put that in the front seat. And if I absolutely have to transport somebody, then I can. But yeah, it's.
I want to get into one more little thing before we take our next commercial break. So when the dog, the canine insert, as it turns out, isn't just about a place to keep the dog, right? So he can't eat the seats and everything else. Everybody in this industry, and you specifically, know that those things have saved dogs. They've saved them in crashes. They've saved them in shootouts. Do people tell you? Do you find that out? Do they send you pictures? Look what happened. This car's mangled and it's crooked, but it saved the dog. What does that reaction get at you with your people down there?
Well, I'll tell you something. We call it that. That's when you've been bitten by the bug. We call it Amalek here. Like every business should have a disease name, when you have it. We call it Amalek. That is when I had someone working for me one time, and I came a total sales, like really a salesperson, just hardcore sales. He didn't have to know it. He was so good. He didn't have to know anything about the product, and he resonated with people. And I was always trying to tell him more, tell him about my stuff, like, hey, they really need to know this, they really need to know that. And he just had it. And one day he was at a show, and I will never forget it. It settled with me. I knew then, what it takes to like really speak to somebody. And he said he was standing in the booth, and this guy just comes up to him and grabs him by both of his arms. And he said, I saw his whole life flash in front of my face. It was like Christmas Eve. He had this horrible crash, and he's just with all this surreal seriousness. He's telling this guy why and exactly how the cage we built saved his life and why he's standing there that day. And that forever changed that person. And I know that story, when I don't try to convince anybody when I hire them and they're selling my product. we're real close here. Manufacturing's right out the back door. I expose them to it. I usually give them 2 jobs. Hey, you're working in sales, but go check my safety back there, or that's what, or you go check 5S. I let them do some hands-on. Like, they immediately start seeing, like, oh wow, this is like this is the real thing. Like, they were going to kill me tonight if I did not say that we absolutely get to live the American dream here. Like, y'all have said shit twice tonight. We are doing shit here with our hands and our brains and our minds. Like, we're doing the real thing. What we all dreamed about being able to be possible, we get to go do it. And so I just know that, it's a hard week. It's a long week. That phone call's coming. Like, that's all it takes to set you in motion for a really long time. One story, one reason. And we send those out. We share those with our staff. And you can tell that that's when they really stop and realize that whatever the little small part of it is, it reminds them how important it is. You might just put the front door on the cage, but that door staying on there and not coming off in an accident, becoming an obstacle, they take a lot of pride in that. So it's these stories that, it's a story I can't tell. I can tell them we're great. We've been here. My granddaddy did all of this. You're going to really like working here. You're going to be proud. It's that story's coming, and it's going to come to them in the right time that, makes them super invested in what we do, and make sure we keep giving that to the customer.
Yeah. And the cool thing about, like, giving them the extra jobs and getting everybody to buy into that is you could be unbeknownst to you at the time, training the person that's coming up behind you that's going to keep your legacy going. And they can't be a person who's half in, right? They got to be bought in. And saving dogs, saving people like that is a great way to kind of wake them up. Like, because you're in an industry that a lot of people don't get to, that their products, if I'm a Hoover vacuum cleaner salesman, my product didn't save anybody ever, maybe got rid of some allergies from you. So that's really cool. I was thinking about that. I was like, man, they probably, just like guys that, companies that make bulletproof vests for people, they always get those stories of when their vest saved somebody. And they said it's unbelievable, because hopefully it never has to happen, but it's in reality, it does have to happen. So so many of those cars smacked from behind on the highway or hit from the side, and you see
several of our guests. We've had 2 guests. I'm sitting here running through it in my mind. Jay Nix is the first one that he got T-boned, and the cage saved the dog and probably saved him. And then Eric, the kid that we interviewed from North Carolina, they got shot when he showed up to a random ass call
with all the bullet holes through it. If that's a plastic insert, that's Swiss cheese.
So, and I think on our Instagram feed, we posted, and we tagged American Aluminum. Mm-hmm. We posted pictures of that.
With that got the pictures from them. I can't remember. That cage. I mean, that dude was shooting at that handler with a rifle, and that dog ate some rounds and survived. But the cage ate, I don't know, 6-8 rounds. I don't remember how many rounds. A lot.
It was more than a few. And so I'm thinking across, like, I've remembered several people being in accidents and in wrecks, and dogs being in kennels, and the insert being the thing that's like kind of intact. Granted, it's in the middle, but whatever. But I mean, there's still quite a bit of engineering that goes in that keeps it from, right. And you still got to get the dog out, which, as Jennifer talked about, is like being able to get them out. I didn't even think about that. Like, if I had 2 dogs in the car and I get in an accident and I'm like, I got to get both these dogs out. And if one of them's a dual purpose dog, generally they're going to be, and the other one's just whatever odor. The dual purpose dog is probably not going to be the most,
pleasant
after being in an accident or shot at. And I'm like, yeah. And you're like, you can remove the virus. So you're sitting there saying, I was like, I didn't think about that for a second. Of course, I don't design inserts, but I I use them. But,
at the end of the process, everything that we build, it's to secure something. That's just what we do. If you ask me in 2 words, what do we do? Secure transport. And then I can tell you a story about so many different things that we do. But ultimately, at the all through the process of building that product, to do everything it needs to do to protect, to stay in place, to hold up, to serve its purpose. ultimately we have to put ourselves inside of there and think of every possible way that you could get, caught in there and not being able to come out just the planned way and have a means of exit. That's like our inmate transport. I mean, you've got 3 different compartments. You got a front, a 2 back. You got to have emergency escapes that can to get out of the way quickly, move, allow these people to crawl over to this side, to get out this side, to go out that door, because there's only one rear door that you can access, because I mean this side's pinned, the crash is over here, like that's a big job for us in the end. And I hope you guys will maybe take something from this. I didn't think about this part of it, but in your training, make them think about if something happens. Make them practice that. If they have a divider, make them know, like, what, let somebody else know in the department. Hey, if something's going on with this car and this side's jammed up, this is what you do. There's a front seat. This is where the lock is. This is how the door opens. It may be they get there and their handler can't help with the situation. It's just about awareness. So that's kind of a mission a little bit that I'm on right now. I said that I wanted to live to the time that I could be a hologram on the dash of every canine car in the country. And when they crunk it up, I would be like, hey, I'm Jennifer from American Aluminum. Let me tell you about my car. Or I could be there like a little genie that's like, oh, I see you're in distress. This is what we did to help you do that. Because we just sometimes don't, but because it has to go to a vehicle upfitter to get a great install and make sure that's all done right. I don't get to be there, or my team, that we don't get to be there to talk to that canine handler and push through all of those features and have it present on their mind if they need it. And you guys can do good with that. And that's just a takeaway that you might be able to help us more, is making sure that you guys know how to use the product. If you train them or you're there, just think through those emergency situations. Make sure that they're testing their equipment. Check their canine cage out. Make sure they test their cool guard at the beginning of every shift. I said every shift. I built that to keep that dog in there, but we sell that cool guard to make sure that it's looking out for that dog when we can't be standing right there to see what's going on. We need them to make sure that system's working. It's on there. It takes just a few minutes. You'll make sure your windows are going to go down. Your horn's going to sound so somebody knows. You're going to know there's not an issue, because you shouldn't begin work unless you know that they're going to be protected in there from a heat or a cold situation.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. It's a good idea for the training. Put them through that stress situation, especially the 2-dog guys. We're going to go ahead and take our next commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about, I do have a couple little questions, but we're going to talk about some services they offer and kind of where we're headed in the future. So stick around and we'll be right back.
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to us for the past 6 years. It would not be possible without our sponsors. And one of our longest time sponsors, in fact, our longest time sponsor, is Tactical Police Canine, Aaron and Jason Ferguson. They are amazing. They've been amazing to us, and they are amazing to this industry. They have a new online series that is for law enforcement only. And law enforcement guys, you know how important it is to keep up on your practices and your education. This one is for you. It's a canine criminal interdiction series, and it is literally for you guys to expand your knowledge on canine usage during traffic stops and interdiction work. It's going to cover things like roadside interview techniques, identifying traps and hidden compartments, related case law and record keeping strategies. You name it, it is in this course, and you need to have it. If you go to their website, tacticalpolicecaninetraining.com, and you use their discount code NARC, all caps, you will get 20% off any of their online courses. Check them out. Dogtra. We use so many Dogtra products that it's hard to even tell you where we begin. All of our canine get a Dogtra e-collar. We use the 1900 black, and all of our pets get a 200C. All of our canines use bark collars. We have their ball training systems. We've even bought a quail launcher from them. We use bungee collars. You name it. If it goes on your dog's neck, we get it at Dogtra. Dogtra has been great to us through the years. We love their sponsorship. We love their products. I order them every single week. If you go to dogtra.com, you can use the discount code WDR10. You'll get 10% off a single item over $200. You can also check out Dogtra Official for their socials and follow them there and see what other products that they're coming out with, because they innovate every day. Dogtra.com. Rex-Specs Canine. I'm so excited that these guys came aboard. I stocked them for years. Yes, I did, and unapologetically so. They make amazing products. I love nothing more than seeing a tiny little Chihuahua wearing the googly eye Rex-Specs. But they don't just make fun products. They make serious products that actually help dogs. These Rex-Spec goggles have a UV rating of 400. They keep the UV rays off of your dog's eyes. They also protect your dog from getting debris, dust, dirt, sticks, seeds, rocks, anything in their eyes. And then something that Ted and I use at the kennel every single week without fail is Rex-Specs Ear Pro. You slide it over the dog's head. It's easy to use. And most importantly, it actually protects your dog's hearing. You guys can check them out if you have a search and rescue dog, a pet dog, an active dog, a service dog, a hunting dog. Go to rexspecs.com, check out all their products. Rex-Specs Canine on the socials. If you use Working Dog Radio, all lowercase, on their website as a discount code, you will get 20% off. American Aluminum has been in business since 1992. They have been making so many things for law enforcement. It is not even funny. They make great things for the canine industry, such as canine inserts that actually saves dogs' lives in wrecks, and much, much more. I don't know if you guys listened to the episode on Canine Corporal, but please do so. It is an amazing episode that really talks about the value of what their products do. American Aluminum makes things that you might not even know that they make, like inmate transport systems, canine training aids, canine inserts, contraband containment, animal control systems, and the list goes on. American Aluminum makes great products here in America, and it is a fantastic company to get to know. You can call them at 800-277-0869. You can get a quote if you go to quotes at aaa-mail.com and ask them for a quote. They will be glad to oblige. Please tell them that we sent you. Arnaud at ALM Canine Equipment has been one of our longest time friends. 13 years ago, Arnaud made a suit for Ted. We call it his Whoopee, and he still has this suit, and it is still the only suit that he wears. We have had this thing re-sleeved about 6 times. It's ridiculous. It smells like a dead body, and he wears it all the time, much to my chagrin. But it is just a testament to how amazing of a product that Arnaud makes. He comes up with his own color combinations. You can get something custom. He hand sews it. Reach out to him at almcanineequipment.com. Check him out on Instagram at almcanineequipment. If you guys need a canine containment system, otherwise known as a kennel, if you need one or you need many, you need to reach out to Horizon Structures. Horizon makes anything that you can think of, from mild to wild. You can customize their kennels from the ground up. And the best part is, when they are done, they will drive it to your location. They will set it on your pad, and you plug this thing in, and it is ready to add dogs to immediately. Anything that you can think of in a kennel, Horizon Structures can make it happen. We've seen them. They are beautiful. If you go to Horizon Structures and check them out on the socials, if you can call them 888-447-4337, or check them out online, horizonstructures.com. They always have something cool going on. Thank you guys so much. Stay tuned. We have so many amazing things happening.
All right, everybody, we are back. Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite With Jennifer Arnold from American Aluminum, a lot more than just canine inserts. It's what most people in this industry probably think about. I can see in the background with the canine on it. That's always up there on the kennels itself. I was thinking about it when you guys were saying the upfitters. Do you offer training for those types of folks? Like, can they come to you? Do you offer any kind of thing where you're like, I'm a new mechanic in charge at the city garage, and we're getting these new, we switched from Chevy to Ford and we got to get new inserts, and I don't really know how to put those in there. Can they get help from you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things that, we do best is making sure that we go there, take the time, train them, teach them. We want it to go smooth for them. I mean, they're trying to move cars. It's about efficiency and making sure that our product gets in there right. But absolutely, anybody. I mean, we've taken 2 trips in the last less than 30 days to go into a situation like that. They bought it, realized when they got there, hey, I really need to do a good job with this, or hey, wow, this is the whole thing, and we're like. We heard about one situation in Rhode Island on a Friday night. Marisol and I were going to dinner, and she tells me, hey, I might be in Rhode Island on Monday. We were there on Monday.
Nice.
We were helped because the department needed the car, but we needed that car to be in, a good working fashion. And, that's just who we are. It serves us well to jump and run when they need us. But absolutely, that's what we want to make sure that they know that on the front end of this, we want to teach them ourselves if that's what they need.
One of the things that's real big in business, and you don't get to have a 3rd generation business without relationships, without being that kind of person that remembers the guy's name, who's a lieutenant now calling you, but you dealt with him when he was a handler or a sergeant. If you had to think about it, what are a couple of the agencies that you've been with the longest?
Well, of course, we're super close to, our local guys, but we love our Jacksonville Sheriff's Office people. They taught me a lot, you know, about dogs. They were close enough. They spent a lot of time here. They came for installs. We have Escambia County. They're big and close to us. We do a lot of specific work for them. We've got some big partners. We partner with Unicor, who is the federal prison industry. They upfit vehicles for like Border Patrol, TSA, those sort of things. Those guys have been, they've served us well. I mean, we kind of support the product and deal with the customer, and they do a great outfit, that sort of thing. Of course, our highway patrols, I mean, it goes way back for me. It's so nice. Sometimes I'll pass through the office and they will ask one of the ladies, so-and-so, does the blonde lady work there? Or they remember my mom. And that's what we don't take lightly at who we, introduce to our people. Our world is small and it's private, and there's a lot of loyalty, a lot of required respect. I think having this career I think I was going to be a great person anyway. I think integrity was going to be a thing of mine, but it taught it to me, the value of it. It is my name. It is our faces. It's who we are. These people, they like to see it. It's a lot of security in that it's still us, Yeah. And it means a lot when the same people work for you for a long time. So, working people, that's my goal. I want them to have a home here. I want them to stay, love the product. That way I know the customer's getting from them exactly what I would give if I could fill every role in the company. Like there used to be a time that I felt like I could literally do that. Like I came from a time that I could when there was, 11 people here. There's 140 people, 2 locations. Yeah.
Wow.
So, you got to put in your people so that the customer gets the same thing if you were there doing it yourself.
How far from Jacksonville Sheriff's Office are you guys?
About 2.5 hours.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a straight shot down the interstate, so it's an easy ride.
I don't know. I'll be there middle of July. Maybe I don't know if I can get down there.
Slides over since you're there. Y'all can keep in touch. He can bring some swag. He picked us out the most awesome new F-150 demo. It's all upfitted. It's got some products they haven't seen before. So if you're over that way and they want lunch and some swag, by all means, let us know. We'll stop in and see you guys and say hey.
So let's talk about that with the F-150, some products that people haven't seen before. Where are we headed here in American Aluminum?
Oh yes, so we're super excited. We're working really hard for the first time to merge our toolbox side of the house, which is Cam Locker. A lot of people know
Hmm.
my face and my team's face, to just be Cam Locker over in the retail truck accessory market, and they just know we do something else. But in the law
Yeah.
enforcement world, they don't so much know that, we build cam locker, that we have a truck toolbox. What is unique and we don't get to expose much about our locking systems is when my grandfather went to build his first toolbox, the lock that he used was super important to him. He knew that every lock in the country that has a number imprinted on the outside of the lock was what the key code was. Don't know if you know that, but that's the common thing. And
Okay.
so he knew that he needed something. He wanted something a little better than that. So we sourced the lock we use today. And honestly, if there's a lock on a product in our company, it is this one lock. So Cam Locker is the lock that's on the vault, which is where you store your weapons, which is the lock that is on your inmate transport that you just don't want easy access to, or somebody copying keys and that sort of thing. So the special thing about the lock side, and why I'm bringing that up, is we're working hard this year to start merging those products. Everywhere there's a canine fleet, there's also a truck fleet. And we've never spent the time with the canine family or the law enforcement side of the family to tell them we have this product too. And this product, everything that you guys have in your world is expensive, and we know that. It needs to be not accessible. If someone's going to break into a truck, it's going to be the one that has the most stuff in it with the most value. So ultimately, our lock that we use throughout all of those products has a proprietary key, which means you cannot buy that key and you cannot get that key made on your own. The only way that you can buy a key or have a replacement made is if you contact us. So that's pretty unique about that. You just can't
Yeah.
grab a $10 set of keys at the hardware store and go opening our things up. So that product has served us well. We're trying to merge those two, to bring that value out there and kind of explain that to everybody and make sure that our toolbox world and our law enforcement world, they know each other. So that's something that we're working on this year. We do a lot of traveling and things like that. So we just want to make the most of that time that we're out there, and kind of expose a little bit more about who we are. But I will definitely say our biggest excitement coming, and we are testing it now ourselves. We're working with it. It's real life. Is we have an app releasing for our Cool Guard system, and it is phenomenal. It is something that I am, super proud about. It's been a long time in the work. We've got a whole new education on, from the cloud to how things work, protecting the data, those sorts of things. It's been a big project for us. I have no doubt it's beyond top notch for you guys. It's not just about, for me, it's not just about seeing what's happening with the dog, being connected at all times when you're away. It really alerting you. This is the modernizing from the pager to an app. It's what people use. We're at our phones. This thing's really going to serve our canine handlers and those dogs well. It's going to come along with two kind of apps. One is the visibility to what's happening in the car with the dog. As you all know, we use two temperature probes. We have a patented process in our Cool Guard where we're monitoring ambient temperature. Like we're truly monitoring what that dog feels, not what the car says, not what the windshield says, but like what's that dog feeling. And
Yeah, that's a big one because when they mount the fucking thermometer on the front windshield and they don't park it in the shade, and all of a sudden the heat alarm goes off and it's like 70 degrees outside, and they're like, but
this
yeah,
is all
I've
this is
seen
all
that.
like
Yeah.
education. So
Hmm.
that's the spin on, like, the canine officers. I think they're just going to be totally stoked to see the picture of their dog and the temp thing moving. If the door opens, it's going to tell them, like it's giving battery life. Like it's really informational, makes you feel connected to the car. But what I'm craving about it is it's going to come along with what we call a QC app. And every time that system gets tested, it's going to record in the cloud, and we're going to know what's happening. We're going to be able to make sure they're testing the system. If they're out in the world and they're having trouble, they run a QC test. Their upfitter or ourselves, we're going to be able to look inside that database and see what's going on with that car and just making sure that they're staying connected, that it's there and ready and working properly for them. I mean, it's going to...
For
awesome.
For admins listening to this,
Yes.
and if you get sent this and if you're listening to this as a handler, I need you to send this to your admin, because I've had 2 dogs die fairly recently from heat-related injuries in cars that were either from malfunctioning heat alarm systems or from a malfunctioning cooling system. And 100% the insurance company will ask, was the car fitted with a heat alarm and a heat monitoring system? And what data did it record? They sent me the interrogatories because I have a department that is suing an insurance company because they're failing to replace the dog. And the interrogatories from the lawyer said that it was super. In fact, Jennifer, I need to send them to you so you guys can have them. Basically, it was a list of questions, and it was about 60 questions that had to do with the heat alarm system and what it recorded, what it didn't record, when it recorded, how it recorded, what the procedures were, what the procedures were not, all these other things to determine whether the insurance company was going to replace the dog for heat-related injury or not, or whether it was up to somebody else. And of course, I'm caught in the middle because I'm the guy that sold the dog and trained the handler and trained the dog and whatever else. But as you said, it records in the cloud. And I don't know if you saw my reaction, but I leaned back in my chair and I'm like, oh, really? And because it would be nice for me to be able to do what we do with some of the online recording for our deployment records, which is where we just print them out and give them to them. We're like, here's the records. Here's what we did. Here's the text. Here's like whatever else.
I mean, we call it kind of like, our little black box. It records the things that happen. But it's important for the departments to put required processes in place for that CoolGuard system, and then you can prove that we had a we had a required process for using the system, ensuring that it's working properly, and here's what we say we do, and this is what we did. That's going to be huge for a situation like this. But it's also going to be great. This app is going to allow up to five people to be attached to one dog. So what I see in that is maybe the handler himself, his personal phone, his work phone, his personal phone, if that's a thing anymore, maybe a partner, a sergeant, and I'd love to see dispatch. I'd love to see that be the 5 people that are linked to this app. So there's a lot of visibility, and there's a lot of people that can respond. And if a sergeant needs to know if a handler's bypassing an alarm or seems to be struggling with something, there's a little bit of overseeing there. If they will use how we created this app, it's going to be great from leadership down. I really believe that, and for us.
So Eric and I's buddy, Ray, who's my partner at HRD, was just on another podcast last week talking about HRD and some other stuff. But they mentioned in this podcast that these guys, one's a former, I think he's a ranger, the other one's an active law enforcement guy. Neither one of them are canine, but they went down the list of dogs that were killed, line of duty deaths for dogs. And a majority of those are heat-related injuries. And of the heat-related injuries, a majority of the heat-related injuries were non-working, meaning they were in the vehicle. And it's one of those things that it's a dangerous enough job as it is anyway. Like, we ask dogs, especially the little purpose dogs, to do things that are exceedingly dangerous. And for them to die in a hot car is just, it is absolutely. Now, and I'm not knocking, because we've had Brady's Canine Fund on, and we're friends with, Canines United with, Debbie. And so I'm not knocking the body armor stuff, but very rarely are dogs. I mean, dogs are safe in body armor. And there's one in Arkansas recently and whatever. But far more are safe in single-purpose dogs, too. I mean, single-purpose dogs, the vast majority of the dogs working in this country are single-purpose dogs. And search and rescue dogs are still susceptible to heat-related injuries in a vehicle with a malfunctioning system. So it's one of those things that are like my 501 makes sure that when they get a donation from us, that they have a heat alarm and blah, blah, blah. They have to have it to be able to accept the donation.
That is fantastic. Yes.
Yeah, because that number should be 0.
Yeah,
It just should be 0. The number of dogs that die in hot cars should be 0. Police dogs,
yeah.
dogs in general, but the number of police dogs that die in hot cars should be 0.
I absolutely agree. We take this, beyond serious. I've had phone calls in my career, hey, this happened. We, again, we respond immediately. I have not once in my career had it where our product failed, because it's not made right. It does the job it needs to do, but it comes with a lot of responsibility. It comes with understanding it, making sure that you're testing it, you're in tune to it. Yes, it's a comfort, but it's meant to be seen about, and it's about us being able to educate our people. Something this app is going to do is when someone signs up for the app, I'm going to know the guy. I'm going to know the dog. This is personal for me when it comes to this side of it. I build something that takes a remarkable, precious animal. I could get soft hair. Might not be your kind of person on that one, but I'm petting my baby. He's ruined. Like, he can't stand on 4 feet if I'm around, because that's just the love that's there. But on a serious note is like, we're going to be able to know these people. This is going to allow us to talk to them, to reach out to them, educate them more, stay behind them. I'm gonna hustle them a little. I found a new way to be a hologram. That's what my people are going to spend their downtime doing. When that phone's not ringing, I want my phone calling out and saying, hey, we see you had some alarms today. Did you work everything out? We're going to start slow with those as people buy them and they begin to use them. We're going to really be able to be personal with this, which is what needs to happen. We're real disconnected from the time a lot of times we sell a product and it gets through an upfitter and then it ends up in the guy who's going to use its hands. That's why I need to be the hologram. This is the next best step. So we're getting updates every day. If you go to Apple or Android and you look for the CoolGuard app, you can download it. You just, it's there, it's ready. We're just testing, some last minute details. We want it to be easy for the sign up process, that whether a sergeant decides to run it from the top to the bottom or the canine handler gets it and he handles it himself and then takes it up to the top. So just some last minute little things on that. Should be putting test systems in and say by early August.
Okay, nice. Yeah. The cool thing is if you're listening to this on, like, say, Apple Podcasts or Spotify or something, you need to go to YouTube and look behind Jennifer, on the wall back there. You could literally go get your car and everything you need is right there. Get your canine insert. You get the vault for the back. You can get the CoolGuard. You can get the lock system. You don't need to 10 different purchase orders. Your
admins love it because it's only one purchase order.
Yes, right. Yeah. Everything you need is right there,
check, bro.
Yeah. And
I get that too.
Yeah, especially if the guy buying stuff is a policeman. He doesn't want to do extra work. He's a lieutenant. He just wants to, let me write a purchase order, get all this stuff out here. Let's get it going. So where can people find all this stuff? What's your website?
Well, we are easyrideronline.com. That's our website. You can look American Aluminum up just to keep it that simple. It'll get you right to us. You can find us on social media. We kind of keep you updated with some cool pics and a little bit of the personal touch of who we are here with our employees and what we have going on, those sorts of things. But the biggest thing is, this is an in-depth buy. It's an important buy. There's a lot of details to discuss. We're going to recommend things if you have that Malinois, you have that German Shepherd. We're going to recommend things if we know you are also SWAT. If you'll give us a call, we're going to answer the phone and we'll take it from there. We'll make sure that we expose you to, giving you the opportunity to set this car up for what you need. We're really hoping and being that personal touch when it comes to sales and talking to someone, that we can help the canine handler get a car that's fit for them instead of getting the car that everybody else got that just has a cage in it. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, we're
yeah.
going to do a good job when we get on the phone to try to, we're going to ask you a lot of questions. We're going to be a little nosy, making sure that we understand, the environment you work in, the way you move about the car, who's in there with you, what's going on, so that we can kind of say, this is probably what's going to serve you best.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If one of the big takeaways should be from this, if you're listening and you get in with the American Aluminum Group and the folks there, you're not going to go anywhere else. You're going to go there, and then the next car you're going to call them, and the next car you're going to call them, and they're going to have your answers ready for you because they're doing it all over the country for sure. So, well, Jennifer, also you guys that are watching this, calm down on the hologram thing. I don't want to see some goofy comments in here about I'll have her hologram on.
I was waiting for
At least that would be a cute hologram.
Yes.
I was waiting for that.
Settle down, fellas, settle down.
Trust me, I know. I'm the world's worst at it. My husband, I call it every night he watches Star Wars, which I can't say that, but I think it's actually Star Trek, and it's just, it just wrecks me, and it's really a funny for me too. Just because I would make a lot of jokes about it myself, so I was not serious on that at all. And no, I'm joking at him too, but
you say that.
Wouldn't it be great? Yeah, if I could.
It would be great.
Yeah. Just talking to you, introducing you to your car.
That'd be great. So, well, Jennifer, it was great having you on, man. I've always been happy with our relationship. When you guys signed on to advertise with us, I was like, well, I know them guys forever. I've been looking at American Aluminum inserts for years and years and years, and pretty much everybody in our area that uses them. And I know Ted said the same thing where he's at. He's recommending them, and but it was great, man. EasyRiderOnline.com, right?
Yes.
The letter E, letter Z,
Yeah.
rider.
Online. EZ Rider.
Not EASY, just E.
Yes, and don't
right,
just do EasyRider.com since we have.
Yeah, no.
That's not good. Yeah. My grandfather didn't think that one through, but he was not that guy. So
if you're just a simple person and want it easy, just Google American Aluminum. Because I'm not looking stuff. I'm Googling, and Google's going to show me. And it's right there at the top. It's going to pop it right up. I've looked it up while I was sitting here.
Yeah, I did too.
So, well, thank you very much for coming on. Yeah. It was really good. It was a really good episode. Hopefully, when I get down to Jacksonville, I'll set it up with them. Maybe have you guys come out.
Yeah, we'd love to see you if you're down this way. Anytime you're close, or if we can help. If someone's in need, you just see something going on, something new out there that, maybe you guys are encountering that we can help with. That's what we're here for. Everything we do and have ever done is because someone said there was a need. So just know that, reach out to us, keep us informed and updated, and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, I'll get whoever you send up. We'll get some video with them for social media and wave and say hi to everybody. So, anyways, we appreciate your time. Thanks, guys, for listening. Yeah. Ted, you got anything you want to add? Where to find you or anything?
Oh, yeah. You can find me on Instagram, Ted_Summers.
Don't Google Ted Summers either.
No, because it's not. It's Ted.
Hey, have you ever read what AI says about you, Ted?
No, and I don't want to.
No, it was great. You're like I was sold. I knew. It was great. You should read it.
What AI says about me? Holy shit! Yeah. Does it have my search history?
Yeah, just go to Facebook.
How do you do that?
You just go to Facebook, I don't want to know. And put in his name and put Working Dog Radio behind it and search, and AI will tell you, oh no, you're doing great. It's a good little write-up on you there. I need to do myself when we get off of here. But
maybe I'll update my resume.
Yeah,
mine probably just.
Yeah, there was a word that they used in there that basically said that you truly like you set the mark for podcasts. There's a word in there that you're going to like, that you're going to want to pick up, and you're going to want to use for yourself.
Mine's going to say very angry. That's all.
Yeah, that's true.
He's done great tonight. He got his stuff. He's doing great.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. We appreciate the time too, and letting us, get our story out there and visit with you guys a little bit. We'll make sure we do it more often.
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a
you.
good night, everybody.
Be safe.
You got your reasons, I got my wants. Still got that feeling, but I'm too old to die young now.
Working Dog Radio was graciously granted permission to use this music by Brother Deeg. Be sure to check him out at brotherdeeg.blogspot.com. That's spelled brotherdeege.blogspot.com. Be sure to buy him a beer at Amazon, iTunes, or CD Baby, or anywhere you stream your music. Working Dog Radio was edited and co-produced by Alicia Brandt.